The Calling of Saint Matthew. The Calling of Saint Matthew is a painting by Caravaggio, depicting the moment at which Jesus Christ inspires Matthew to follow him. It was completed in 1599 to 1600 for the Contarelli Chapel in the Church of the French Congregation, San Luigi dei Francesi in Rome, where it remains. It hangs alongside two other paintings of Matthew by Caravaggio, the Martyrdom of Saint Matthew, painted around the same time as the Calling, and the Inspiration of Saint Matthew. The painting depicts the story from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus saw a man named Matthew at his seat in the custom house, and said to him, "Follow me," and Matthew rose and followed him. Caravaggio depicts Matthew the tax collector sitting at a table with four other men. Jesus Christ and Saint Peter have entered the room, and Jesus is pointing at Matthew. A beam of light illuminates the faces of the men at the table who are looking at Jesus Christ. There is some debate over which man in the picture is Saint Matthew, as the surprised gesture of the bearded man at the table can be read in two ways. Most writers on the Calling assume Saint Matthew to be the bearded man, and see him to be pointing at himself, as if to ask me, in response to Christ's summons. This theory is strengthened when one takes into consideration the other two works in this series, the Inspiration of Saint Matthew, and the Martyrdom of Saint Matthew. The bearded man who models as Saint Matthew appears in all three works, with him unequivocally playing the role of Saint Matthew in both the Inspiration and the Martyrdom. A more recent interpretation proposes that the bearded man is in fact pointing at the young man at the end of the table, whose head is slumped. In this reading, the bearded man is asking him, in response to Christ's summons, and the painting is depicting the moment immediately before a young Matthew raises his head to see Christ. Other writers describe the painting as deliberately ambiguous. In this painting, the gloom and the canvassed window appears to situate the table indoors. Christ brings the true light to the dark space of the sitting tax collectors. This painting records the collision of two worlds, the ineluctable power of the immortal faith, and the mundane, foppish world of Levi. Jesus spears him with a beam of light. With an apparent effortless hand gesture he exerts an inescapable sublime gravity, with no need for wrenching worldly muscularity. Jesus' bare feet are classical simplicity in contrast with the dandified accountants. Being barefoot may also symbolize holiness, as if one is on holy ground. Similarly to his treatment of Paul in the conversion on the way to Damascus, Caravaggio chronicles the moment when a daily routine is interrupted by the miraculous. Around the man to become Matthew are either the unperceptive or unperturbed bystanders. Caravaggio's audience would have seen the similarity between the gesture of Jesus as he points towards Matthew and the gesture of God as he awakens Adam in Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. Following the line of Christ's left arm, it seems that Matthew is being invited to follow him into the world at large. This clear legibility, so different from many Mannerist paintings, accounted for the work's enormous popularity. The position of Christ's hand, however, reflects that of Adam's in the Sistine Chapel. The Church considered Christ to be the second Adam. But instead of being gifted life, as the first Adam was, Christ is instead the one who bestows it, calling Levi to a new life as Matthew. Did you like to know more about this beautiful work? Like this video, subscribe to our channel and leave suggestions for works of art that you want to see here in the comments.